When Victor Hayes looked at his wife across the breakfast table that morning, he didn't see the woman who had helped him build his life. He saw someone he had grown accustomed to. Someone predictable, someone safe, someone boring. At least that's what he told himself. Olivia Hayes sat quietly reading the news on her tablet while sipping coffee. Her dark hair was tied neatly behind her head. She wore a simple cream-colored sweater and no makeup beyond a touch of lipstick. Victor glanced up from his phone. You know, tonight is probably the biggest event of the year. Olivia smiled. The charity gala? Yes. I know. You've only mentioned it 50 times. Victor chuckled, but there was irritation behind it. Everyone important will be there. I'm aware. He stared at her for a moment. You aren't planning to wear that navy dress again, are you? Olivia lowered her tablet. The one I wore last year? Exactly. She shrugged. It's elegant. It's boring. The word landed harder than Victor intended. Olivia blinked, then smiled politely. I see. I'm just saying. You've made that clear. Victor looked away. For months, he had become obsessed with appearances. His company had recently exploded in growth. New investors, new clients, new circles. And with those circles came people who looked like they belonged in magazines. Models, influencers, socialites, people who understood how to command attention. Olivia never tried to command attention. She never cared about any of it. And lately, Victor had started mistaking humility for inadequacy. That afternoon, while Olivia was at work, Victor made a decision, a terrible decision. He called Sabrina Vale, 24 years old, international fashion model, famous on social media, beautiful enough to stop conversations when she entered a room. Victor had met her through a marketing campaign. She enjoyed expensive events. Victor enjoyed being seen beside her. By evening, he convinced himself it was harmless. Just one gala, just one appearance, nothing more. When Olivia came downstairs dressed for the evening, she stopped. Victor wasn't wearing his wedding ring, and Sabrina was standing in the foyer. Olivia looked between them. Silence filled the room. Sabrina smiled awkwardly. Victor cleared his throat. Listen. Olivia said nothing. I thought it might be better if Sabrina attended with me. Still silence. Better for who? Victor shifted uncomfortably. For business. Olivia almost laughed. Business. Sabrina knows a lot of people attending. Olivia nodded slowly. I understand. Victor expected anger. He expected tears. Instead, Olivia simply looked at him, and that somehow felt worse. You think I'm boring. Victor froze. She had seen through him instantly. Olivia, you don't have to explain. Her voice remained calm. I heard what you meant this morning. Sabrina suddenly looked very uncomfortable. Olivia turned toward the stairs. Enjoy your evening. Then she disappeared upstairs. Victor stood there feeling strangely unsettled, but his pride wouldn't let him stop. Half an hour later, he arrived at the gala with Sabrina on his arm, and people noticed, exactly as he hoped. Heads turned, cameras flashed, guests whispered. Victor felt important, powerful, validated. For the first hour, everything went perfectly. Investors greeted him. Executives complimented him. Photographers requested pictures. Sabrina attracted attention everywhere she went. Victor soaked it in. Then the ballroom doors opened. At first, nobody noticed. Then conversations began slowing, then stopping. Then entire groups turned. Victor followed their gaze and froze. Olivia had arrived. Alone, the room seemed to pause. She wasn't dressed extravagantly. She wasn't trying to compete with anyone. But somehow every eye in the ballroom found her. The gown she wore was simple and stunning. Deep emerald green, perfectly tailored, elegant rather than flashy. Her hair flowed naturally over one shoulder. The confidence in her posture transformed everything. For years, Olivia had hidden behind humility. Tonight, she wasn't hiding. And suddenly people could see what had always been there. Grace, intelligence, presence, power. The room shifted toward her like a tide. Victor felt his stomach drop. Who is that? Someone whispered. Another guest answered. That's Olivia Hayes. The Olivia Hayes? Victor frowned. What did that mean? Then he saw something strange. Several influential guests immediately walked toward her. Not toward Sabrina, toward Olivia. An investment firm founder greeted her warmly. Then a university president. Then a renowned philanthropist. Then a famous author. Each one seemed genuinely delighted to see her. Victor stared. What is happening? Sabrina looked equally confused. Across the room, Olivia laughed at something someone said. The crowd around her grew larger and larger and larger. Victor suddenly felt invisible for the first time all night. Eventually, curiosity overcame pride. He approached. As he neared the group, he heard part of a conversation. The literacy initiative changed thousands of lives. Someone else nodded. The scholarship program was incredible. Another added, "My daughter attended because of your foundation." Victor stopped. Foundation? Scholarships? What foundation? Olivia smiled modestly. It wasn't just me. Several people laughed. One elderly businessman shook his head. "It's always just me with you." The group smiled knowingly. Victor felt completely lost. Then the gala host stepped onto the stage. The microphone echoed across the ballroom. "Ladies and gentlemen," the crowd settled. "Before tonight's main presentation, we'd like to recognize an individual whose contributions have transformed education and community development throughout the country." Victor turned toward the stage. The host smiled. "This year's Human Impact Award goes to Olivia Hayes." The ballroom erupted. Thunderous applause. People stood. Hundreds of guests. Standing. For Olivia. Victor's mouth fell open. Olivia looked genuinely surprised. She slowly walked toward the stage. The standing ovation continued, and continued, and continued. Victor could barely process what he was seeing. When Olivia reached the podium, the applause finally faded. She smiled softly. "Thank you." Her voice was steady, confident, comfortable, like someone who belonged exactly where she stood. "I wasn't expecting this." The audience laughed. Everything we've accomplished came from a simple belief. She paused. People matter. The ballroom became silent. When someone is struggling, they matter. When someone is forgotten, they matter. When someone has no opportunity, they matter. Victor stared. He had never heard her speak like this. Or perhaps he simply had never listened. Over the next 10 minutes, she described schools her foundation had funded, scholarships she created, communities she'd supported, families she'd helped. The audience hung on every word, not because she was flashy, not because she was famous, because she was authentic. When she finished, the room erupted again. Another standing ovation, even bigger than before. Victor looked around. No one was paying attention to him anymore. No one was looking at Sabrina. The entire gala belonged to Olivia. After the ceremony, people lined up to speak with her. Leaders, executives, philanthropists, celebrities. Victor finally understood why. While he had spent years building wealth, Olivia had spent years building impact, quietly, without publicity, without ego, without needing validation. And everyone important in that room knew it. Everyone except him. Later that evening, he found her alone on a balcony overlooking the city. The lights glittered below. She turned as he approached. For a moment, neither spoke. Finally, Victor said, "I didn't know." Olivia smiled faintly. "No, I mean it. I know." Victor looked down. "You never talked about any of this." "I tried." The words hit him immediately, because she was right. She had talked, many times, about schools, scholarships, programs, communities, but he had always been distracted, always focused on something else, something bigger, something shinier. "I wasn't listening." No, she wasn't angry. That somehow made it worse. Victor swallowed. "I owe you an apology." Olivia looked out at the city. "Maybe I was embarrassed." She turned toward him. "Of me?" He couldn't answer, because the truth was yes, and hearing it aloud made him ashamed. Olivia nodded slowly. "I figured." Victor felt his chest tighten. "I was wrong." "Yes." Again, no anger, just truth. The same truth he'd spent years avoiding. "You were never boring." Olivia smiled, a sad smile. "I know." Those two words crushed him, because she already knew her worth. She never needed him to confirm it. Victor looked away. "I don't know how I became that person." Olivia's expression softened slightly. "It happens. I can change." "Maybe." Hope flickered, then disappeared, because Olivia continued. "But not because you're afraid of losing me." Victor went silent. The city lights reflected in the glass around them. Finally she spoke. "Do you know what hurts most?" Victor shook his head. "You didn't see me." Her voice remained calm. "You saw everyone else." She paused. "But you stopped seeing the person right beside you." Victor couldn't argue, because she was right. Every word. Later that night the gala ended. Guests left. Photographers packed up, the ballroom emptied, yet one image remained burned into Victor's memory. Not Sabrina, not investors, not luxury, not status. Olivia standing on that stage while an entire room rose to its feet. Months later, people still talk about the event, not because of the celebrities, not because of the fashion, but because of Olivia, the woman who walked in alone and became the most unforgettable person in the room. As for Victor, he eventually learned a lesson few people ever truly understand. Attention is loud, value is quiet, beauty attracts eyes, character commands respect. And sometimes the person you call boring is actually extraordinary. You were simply too distracted to notice. The night Victor brought a model to impress the world, he discovered something painful. His wife never needed attention to own the room. She only needed the chance to be seen. And once she was seen, nobody could look away.